We are going to go over the installation of the BB1, which is the bulb box that is Profibus ready to connect to a Profibus network. This is the front of the BB1, which has got some indicator lights on the front, some flow meters, bypass flow meters for the samples. We have 3 samples that we can select. We've got sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. We can select a high calibration gas, and we can select a low calibration gas. Let me show you the back. On the back, we got all the fitting for the gases. Like I was saying, we can select 3 sample gases, and we have sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3. These are the inlets, and the gas goes through these micron filters to capture particulates. We got an inlet for zero gas, we got an inlet for span gas. And then for the 3 samples, we have a bypass outlet, and we got the outlet that will go to the analyzer. We can see that we got 5 valves here. 3 are for the samples, 1 for the zero, and 1 for the spans. And they are all controlled by the network, either the Profibus network, and send commands so that we can select which valve will open and which ones the remaining will be closed. Or we can do a manual override where we can, through the front, control the valves, or we can have the analyzer send commands through the RS-232 to select the span gas, the zero gas, or one of the sample gases. As well as we can have a computer override. The computer override can have digital inputs or relay closures on this connector over here. Okay, so what do we need? We got a Profibus output. We got a Profibus output to connect to a PLC or to some Profibus network. We got RS-232 input from an analyzer that has is RS-232 ready. In this case, it's like a 3000 TA oxygen analyzer that we are going to connect to. If we got an analyzer that doesn't have RS-232 and that has the same protocols as a 3000 TA analyzer, then we can connect the 4 to 20 milliamp from another analyzer to one of these digital inputs. We got 4 digital inputs, of which we use one for 4 to 20 milliamp input from one analyzer. And we can connect here and monitor the 4 to 20 milliamp and transmit it through the Profibus network. This BB1 needs 24-volt power supply, which we connect over here on this terminal strip. Now, to set it up, you need first to know, to the Profibus network, you first need to know what will be the address of the instrument. And these dip switches over here on the back will let you set that address. Position number 1 being number 1 address, all the way to position number 7, which is going to be 64 address. So in this case, position number 7 is on. So that means the address of this instrument is 64. So when it's connected to a computer, a PLC with Profibus network, it will know that this is 64 address. It will communicate to this guy as the address 64. You can control what mode the BB1 is on by adjusting the dip switches on the front here. The dip switches on the back are to set the address on the Profibus network. The dip switches on the front are to set the mode. It can be set to the Profibus network, it can be set to analyzer control, it can be set to manual override, or it can be set to computer override. So we'll go over this. So when you power up the unit, if you want to start with a Profibus network, an RS-232 control unit, what you want to do is you want to have all these dip switches set down low or off. And you want to, of course, set the address on the dip switches on the back. Okay, this is the interconnection that we are doing on the back. We have a power supply, 24-volt power supply over there that is going to feed power to our Step 7 PLC and 24-volt power supply to the BB1. We get the Profibus connection network connection, this purple cable that goes to the step 7.
You got the same problem with me.
We got the RS-232 cable that will connect to our 3000 TA oxygen analyzer, connected to the RS-232. So we'll have communication between the BB1 and the oxygen analyzer. Now the step 7 will collect data. We'll collect data of the BB1 and we'll send it to a network card installed on this PC. And then we can send commands through this PC to the step 7 PLC so that we can select valves on the BB1. So now we'll show the front and we'll get it to play. So now we have connected the BB1 to the 3000 analyzer. And you will notice the BB1 is not powered on yet. There is no lights indicators here on the front. It's not powered on, but the analyzer is powered on. It's doing their thing. And we have here in this computer, in this PC, that is connected to the network, connected to the PLC, step 7. We have this software, which is step 7 for the PLC. We got a basic setup where we can send commands and we can receive data from the BB1. In this computer, we can see the basic setup, which is 2 addresses, 2 bytes, are equal bytes where we can send commands, and we got like the rest 32 addresses of output where we can see serial numbers, we can see instrument model, etc., and the concentration of the analyzer, the concentration of oxygen from the 3000 TA analyzer. So right now it is disconnected. As it says in this corner, it's offline, so we are not connected because BB1 is powered off, the step 7 is powered off. So first thing we're going to do is power up. We already set up this software with the proper address 64, so that we can communicate to BB1. But right now we are offline. So first thing we're going to do is power up, and we're going to see the BB1 boot up. The PLC will boot up. So the first thing you will see when it powers up, the lights will blink one by one, to see that that's part of the sequence of booting up. So you'll see the lights blinking one by one all the way from the top to the bottom. So here we go. So there we go, booting up. The network, the PLC hasn't finished booting up yet, so the light is on. There's a network fault light, and now the PLC finished booting up, so the PLC came to full power, it finished booting up. Now there is connection, so the light of the network fault went off. So that means we have communication between the BB1 and step 7. And the yellow light here, communication okay, that means we got RS-232 communication between the BB1 and the 3000 TA oxygen analyzer. So that means this guy is receiving communication through the RS-232 and is communicating to the network. There are no fault lights right now, any other fault lights coming on, but that's because I set it up right now so no fault lights come on. We'll make it so we get some fault lights. And there is no valve open, no sample valve is open, all of them are closed. Even the calibration valves are closed. So that's how you boot up, all valves are closed. So I gotta send commands to open up one of the valves. Okay, right now I say all the dip switches are all the way to the bottom. That means the BB1 is under the control of the PC of the step 7, of the step 7 PLC, which means I can send command through this computer. If right now it won't accept commands from the analyzer, and it won't accept commands from the back unless you set it up that way. So right now it's waiting for commands from the front of step 7. So we are going to go ahead and have the PC connect to the step 7 PLC. So I'm going to come in and connect to the PLC. The green light says it's running, that means it's made connection, but it's not updating yet. So now we are going to monitor the data. The ROM bar is running back and forth. So now we are taking data in. Whatever data is being updated. So now we are passing data from the BB1 to the step 7 on the way to the PC. The first thing we're going to do is send a command to turn on the sample 1 valve. The first valve, we're going to turn it on. By sending a command on the first address, in QD0 is the first address, we are going to send a command. And the command is number 1. Number 1 is for sample 1. Number 2, we are counting in binary. Number 2 will be for sample 2. Number 4 will be for sample 3. Number 8. And number 8 will be for the high cal valve over here. And 10 will be for the low cal valve. So let's open up the first one. So I'm going to move across here. And then I'm going to type 1 here. And then I'm going to send a command. I haven't sent it yet until I tell it to send it. That's how this software works. So that's how it works. So you can change from in different process, different software you can change. So I gotta tell it that's what I want. And there we go. I send the command, and the valve of sample 1 is open. Since I got some gas flowing, now you can see some gas flowing here. I'm going to go ahead now and send a command to open sample 2. So I come back to this address over here, the input address, and I'm going to change that one to 2. And I type 2, but it's not sent yet until I tell it to send it. So I'm going to send it. And there we go. It's changing now to sample 2. Then I'm going to go ahead and open up sample 3. Easy to do. Go back to that one. Type 4 and update the address. And there we go, sample 3. So now we have access to the valves. Now we can go to the next one, which is to open up the 0 valve, which actually will send the instrument to a zero mode. So we got a cell simulator going into this analyzer to simulate inputs, sensor input. So it's already close to 0, so we're going to send a 0 command first. So the 0 command for this valve is 10. So I'm going to type 10. And I'm not sending it yet, just typed it in, but it's not sent. As soon as I send it and I realize that the analyzer is in 0 mode, I'm going to have to send another command to go to the sample valve, another sample valve, so when it's finished zeroing, it returns to the sample valve. Otherwise, it will keep going in a loop, zeroing in a loop. So first send this command, then I'm going to send another command for the valve, sample valve. So send this guy. And we see the local gas open. The analyzer is now on 0 mode. And now that it's on 0 mode, I'm going to send it, I'm going to return back to the valve number 1. And send that command so it's in the QE, so that when it's finished zeroing, it will go back to sample 1. So the analyzer is in 0 mode, and you can see the cal mode light coming on. So that means the analyzer is zeroing. It knows, by looking at the RS-232 data, it knows the analyzer is zeroing. So we are going to wait for this zero to finish. We got a special software here that can do the zero real fast. The real 3000 TA will take minutes to wait for the gas to come in and purge the sensor and purge the tubing. But this one is a special software, so it can do the zero within a minute or so. So soon it will be done. Return back to analyze. And when it returns back to analyze, it goes back to the valve I told it to go to. I told it to go back to valve number 1. So the BB1 monitor what this analyzer was doing. When the 0 is done, it knows that it's time to go, where I told it to go, which is to sample valve 1. Okay? Now we're going to do a span. And for that, I'm going to change the cell simulator output so we can get some reading over here. So we should start seeing some reading coming out here. So I'm going to wait a little bit so that you get some reading over here. And then I'm going to send the span command. And the span command is basically going back over here. It's going to be 8. Okay, remember we're counting in binary. 2, 1, 2, 4, 8, 1, 0. So that one's 8. I just typed it in, haven't sent it yet. I gotta send it. Sound simulators gotta work on the magic. Give me a number. Okay, here we go. We are gonna get some reading. I'm gonna send the command to do a span. The span that is gonna do is gonna go to the value they already preset. When I did it manually first time, and I told it that the value was gonna be 8 ppm. So it's gonna span to the value 8 ppm. All right. So it's reading close to 8 ppm, but not quite 8 ppm. So I'm gonna send a command now.
One step first and then.
And you can see that it went to the high cal mode detected, the analyzer in the span mode, and then I'm going to tell it to return to valve 2. So when it is done, it will return to valve 2. So we wait for the span gas to be done. The BB1 is monitoring the RS-232. When it knows that it's done, the cal mode will go away, and it will go to sample 2 valve because I told it to go to sample 2 valve. The analyzer is done, went back to analyze, and now it went to sample 2 valve because that's what I told it to go to when it's done. If I don't send a command to go back to sample 2 valve, it will keep going to spam loop. Okay, so we did all the functions of the analyzer here right now, using the Profibus network. Now, we will exercise a few other things before we move on to other modes. We got an analyzer for light. So that means if for some reason we lose communication on the RS-232, the analyzer fault light will come on. So I'm going to disconnect the RS-232 for a moment. I disconnect the RS-232 and the analyzer fault light came in. So it meant the analyzer, something wrong with the analyzer, lost communication with it. Go and check it out. I'm going to connect it back in. And connect it back the RS-232. Communication is established again, and the analyzer fault went away. And now you will see there is a flow fault light, because there is a flow switch. Like I said in the beginning, there is a flow switch. And to mess with the flow switch, I'm going to disconnect the flow switch so that it's open and the flow fault comes in. Like there is no flow right now. But I am faking it right now because there is no gas flowing. So I'm faking it by putting a jumper across on the input. But if there was no gas flowing, that's what will happen. So now I'm going to fake it back that there is flow by shorting the terminal. Okay, so I reestablish flow. There is flow now. We are already seeing the cal mode in action. Whenever the analyzer is in 0 mode or spam mode, we see the cal light come on. There is the manual override. We are going to go into the manual override in just a second, or just a minute. But first, let's look at the other 2 lights over here. There's this. These are the calibration gas. They're called calibration gas. The span gas, pressure low. Pressure low, zero gas, pressure low. So we can have installed on the calibration gases pressure switches that will detect if there is enough pressure on the bottle gases, calibration gases. So if for some reason the bottles were empty, the switch would close, and we have inputs on the back of the BB1 so that we can hook up those pressure switches, and it will detect whether we have gas to calibrate or not. So right now I have simulated that we are okay in pressure. If I was to open the switch, one of the lights will come up. So no problem going there. Now, we can go now into the manual override. We can go into the manual override. To set the instrument in manual override, we go to these deep switches over here. We got this the rightmost deep switch, position number 8. If I pull it up, you will see the manual override light come on. That means now I have control of the valve through the front. And you can see no valve is open right now because all the switches are down. When I will control the valve through the deep switches over here. So, if I want to turn on the sample one on, I can turn on position number 7, the second rightmost. There, we can open the valve from the front. So it's ignoring what the PC is sending through the PLC. That's what the use of the manual override is to change the valves here at the front and ignore what the Profibus network is asking. Now I can go on to the next one, position number 6, and you can check the manual. If you cannot see what I'm doing, but you can check the manual to see which deep switch will do what. So I have control of that one as well. I have control of the next one, sample 3, and the next one will be, of course, the next high cal gas. And notice here, very important to notice here, the manual override, that the analyzer did not go into span mode when I flip the cal valve on. That's not true when I am in computer override. When I'm in computer override, doing that could send the analyzer into span. But right now, we are in full digital mode. We are not in computer override. This is just manual override. So this will only flip the valve on, will not send the instrument into calibration. The same goes for the zero valve. There's the zero valve. Okay? So that's the manual override. And you basically disable manual override again. So I move all the switches down, no valve is open. But I'm gonna now disable manual override. And immediately it contacted the PLC to see what command was in the register, in the address, and it was telling it to go to open sample 2. That's where it went to. Okay, that's manual override. And now we can go on to the next thing, which is computer override. Computer override is to move the second position from the left. Second position from the left. If you move it up, now you see the maintenance light coming on, but only for 0.1 second and off for 2 seconds. That's telling you that it is in computer override. But we are not there quite yet until you tell it to. So now I want to send some commands. So you can do it through the back, through the 15-pin connector on the back. You can check the manual, which 2 pins you gotta short to ground, which pin you gotta short to ground, so that you can control the valves on the front. Right now, it's still under the PLC control. So it's not quite there in computer control. But it's under analyzer control. If in this mode, the analyzer has control. I can put the analyzer on span and look at that way. Now the analyzer can control the BB1. I told the analyzer to go into span, and it changed the valve in the BB1. I'm going to escape now. It's going to back to the previous, because still I can send commands through the Profibus network. Okay, so this is a little bit different. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to zero mode. Immediately change to the low calibration gas mode. I'm escaping now. But that's not all I can do, because this unit has special software so that I can exploit that I have 3 sample gases. So within the system menu, I have a function called stream. And I can select different valves over here, 1, 2, and 3. Right now it's selecting 1. I press enter. It will change it to 1. Select 2. Select 3. Okay, so now in this mode, with this dip switch, position number 2, all right, but now we're going to do, I said I was going to do computer override. So to do computer override, I move the rightmost dip switch, the one that I use for manual override, I move it up as well. But now it's different. It's not quite manual override, it's computer override. The same dip switch that I used to open sample 1 is the same one open sample 1. The same one I used to sample 2, you open sample 2. The same goes for sample 3. But now, before I go to the next one, remember what happened in manual override. When I flipped to the high count gas, the analyzer did not go into spam. And now when I do that, it will go into spam. Because now we are not doing a manual override, we're doing a computer override. And what we're telling the instrument is we do want to calibrate. This is when you don't have a step 7. So computer override is when you don't have a step 7, you don't have a network. You just want to control the BB1 through some digital context or relay context. So if you have that, a PLC with contacts, and don't have a Profibus network, then you can use this computer override to control it. Okay, so now, look at that. I send the command, the analyzer is finished spanning. Still, the high count gas valve is still open, but it didn't send the analyzer back into spam. That's because I still have a signal here. The switch is still up, so I gotta bring it down to switch to another valve if I want. So now, if I move to the next one, I will do a 0, but I wanna first make sure that this guy is really close to 0. So I'm gonna change the output of the cell simulator. We can use it to control the 3000 TA oxygen readings. And this microfuel cell simulator is made by Teledyne. It simulates different types of microfuel type sensors like E1, E3, E1, C1, C2, C3. So it's very handy for troubleshooting oxygen analyzers. All right. So I set the cell simulator back to 0. And notice one thing that I forgot to say when I am computer override. Look at the manual override light. It is when I was doing actual manual override, the light was solid on, but now it is blinking on and off. So that's how you can tell that it is computer override and not manual override. Okay, so I'm ready to send the command to 0. Open up the low cal valve. The analyzer goes to 0 because the BB1 told the analyzer, hey, you need to go to 0. And we wait for the 0 to be done. Alright, the analyzer finished zeroing. You return back to analyze mode. So you can see that the valve is still open until I remove the command. Tell it to be in 0 mode, 0 valve. So I'm gonna close it. So you can do it through the front, but you have that 15-pin connector on the back that is in parallel with these dip switches. So you can have a PLC with contacts connected to that 15-pin connector, this connector on the back. And so you don't have to be here. You can have a computer, a PLC, control it like this, like I'm doing. I'm just doing the front because it's easy for me to do it on the front than be on the back, jumping and closing contacts on the back. Okay, so now I am ready to go back to the Profibus control. I'm tired of the manual override now. I told you everything about it. So I'm gonna go back by flipping the switch, position number 2, the second from the left, down. All the switches down. All the switches down. So we are back to the Profibus control. Profibus control says go to number 2, and you went to number 2. Now it's obeying again the PLC, the step 7 PLC. So we are back on control. Now, of course, with the Profibus, you can get more data than just the manual computer override is handy when you don't have a step 7 Profibus network. But you don't get other data, other troubleshooting data you get from step 7 Profibus network. You get a concentration here. If you look at the first 4 bytes, first 4 position of the output, 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to change the cell simulator. And as the oxygen concentration changes, you will see these numbers updating over here. And they are hexadecimal numbers or binary numbers, but they basically are the concentration of the analyzer. If I move down a little bit, you can see that it's telling you the model number, 3000T. It knows what analyzer it is. We have a feature to put in a serial number of the analyzer so you can know what the serial number will be. In this case, it's serial number 10000, but we can change the serial number of the analyzer so you will know what the serial number of the analyzer is. Encoded within these bytes over here, the last addresses, there is some troubleshooting bits that you can use to know whether the flow is okay, whether the pressure switches for the span gas, the zero gas, are okay, whether what valve is open, and because there is read back in this BB1, there is an input from the valve. So if the valve does not open, it will let you know. It's really checking that out. So if the valve fails, it will check it. So if we have the Profibus network, we can see other data that we don't see from computer override. Like we get a concentration, the first 4 bytes. You can change the concentration of this guy, and you will see these 4 bytes change. If you compare that to decimal numbers, it will be the concentration display here divided by 10, I think, or by 100. And if you keep going down, you will get other data like the model number, the 3000T. If you keep going down, you will see the serial number of the analyzer. In this case, serial number is 100000. So we'll make it so that every analyzer has a serial number. With it, it will be sending the serial number. So you will see it here displayed. And we have other bytes, other bits of information where we have troubleshooting information. Whether the flow is on or off, whether one of the pressure switches is open or closed, whether the network fault light is on, whether we lost communication with the network, whether we lost communication with the analyzer, and which valves are open or closed, since we have read back on this box, so we can tell which valve is open or closed, and you can see it here. So you get other troubleshooting or other tidbits of information that you cannot get if you just have computer override. So that's why Profibus is so helpful. Okay, so there is one more thing to show, and that is connecting the 4 to 20 milliamp of the analyzer, which is basically is transparent. You won't see any change, any big thing. But what I'm going to do, this analyzer has RS-232 output, and it has 4 to 20 milliamp output as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the RS-232 and connect the 4 to 20 milliamp. And like I was saying, there are analog terminals on the back of the BB1 where you can connect 4 to 20 milliamp. The software knows when to do the switch if you do the sequence properly. The sequence is put it on the manual override. So you move the rightmost switch, position 8, up, manual override light comes on. So now is in manual override. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect the RS-232. I'm going to go to the back. And I'm going to connect the 4 to 20 milliamp to the BB1 and the 4 to 20 milliamp to the analyzer. Connected the RS-232 from the analyzer and connected a 4 to 20 milliamps output from the 3000 TA all the way to the BB1, to the analog input on the BB1. So now what will happen is when I move the switch, the manual override switch down, the BB1 detects, first rechecks if there is anything over 4 milliamps in the analog input. If there is anything that is over 4 milliamps in the analog input, then from now on it will be half digital mode, which means it has digital connection to the step 7 PLC, but it has no digital connection to the 3000 TA analyzer. So I'm gonna move the switch down. It will detect that there is 4 milliamps coming in and there is no RS-232, so it switches to half digital mode. And you know that it's half digital mode because the communication OK light is now blinking. So now you know it's looking at the 4 milliamps input on the BB1 and there is no RS-232. When you got RS-232, the communication OK light is solid on. But when you got looking at the 4 to 20 milliamps, then it is blinking. And of course, now you can control the bulbs from the step 7 to the BB1, but you have no digital communication between the analyzer and the BB1, so you cannot send serial commands, span commands, because the analyzer, there is no digital communication. All you can do is monitor the 4 to 20 milliamp from the analyzer. So I still have control of the valves from the step 7, but I cannot send the analyzer to 0 or to span. So basically that's how it works, half digital mode. Okay, so so that's all there is. So I have all the commands, manual override still works, I can control manual override over here. Computer override still works. I can send commands from the step 7, but I can, if I send to open the 0 valve, the analyzer, of course, will not go to the 0. So let's do that. Send the command to 0. I can open up the valve, but because I don't have digital communication with the analyzer is still in analyzer mode. So I control the valves here, and that's why it's half digital. Okay? Now I'm going to go back, of course, to the RS-232. I'm going to put it back in manual override, move the switch to manual override up, manual override comes on. I'm going to disconnect the 4 to 20 milliamp. I'm going to connect the RS-232 back again to the analyzer. And then bring the manual override down. And now we have the communication OK. It's solid on. So that means I'm looking at RS-232, and what do you know? The analyzer went into 0. So I have control now of the analyzer. So when the 0 is down, it's going to go back to valve number 2, which I'm trying to go to valve number 2. The 4 to 20 milliamp output will be on the first 2 addresses. When it's RS-232, you use the first 4 address of the output here, you use that to check the concentration. When it's only 4 to 20 milliamps, it's only the first 2. And it is a number that you divide by 100 to get what percentage of output, what percentage of range output you have. If it's 4 million, you get 0. If it's 20 million, you'll get a number that will give you close to 100% full scale. Okay, so it's 0 in return. So that's how you operate the different modes of operation for this BB1 and analyzers like the 3000 TA. Okay, thank you very much.